the British Grand Prix, round 9 of the 2023 season from the famous and iconic Silverstone circuit. And we had a cracking weekend across the board, really. It was excellent. Weather was poor for the most part, but it didn't stop people from enjoying themselves at the circuit. Let's go straight into it. Here's the fallout from the British Grand Prix. Starting with MotoGP. We had the sprint race on Saturday. It was good. Yeah, it was like not the most exciting sprint race we've seen, but it was fine. It was good. It was a good bit of entertainment. Alex Marquez rode really well to pick up his first victory in the class. Not a Grand Prix, but a nice little sprint race win for him to boost the old confidence and credentials. But yeah, the sprint race was fine. Not much really else to say about it. It was all right. The real entertainment came Sunday, where we saw a fantastic battle for the lead all the way until the final stages of the Grand Prix, where we had a sort of bit of early drama. The two Italians breaking away at the front there, Bagnaia and Bez throwing it down the road with a very ambitious attempt to close the gap under braking at the end of the hangar straight. But all came down to the wire. There was 4 of them involved. There was 5 at one point. Maverick dropped off a little bit towards the end. But yeah, it was a really exciting finish, and I'm glad we got it. It was nice to see a little bit of a bunch up, towards the end. And it really, at one point there, you had no idea which way it was going to go. I thought that Pecco, for being out front for most of it, changeable conditions, very tough race to be leading, I thought it was really good for, the whole race, really. And obviously with the benefit of being able to study what's going on, Aleix and just generally had really, really good speed all weekend. Aleix was able to assess the situation and come away with a very nice victory, and I think we all enjoyed that one. I think it has to be said that it was a very intelligent bit of riding from Aleix to do what he did where he did, because he had, like I said, the advantage of seeing where he would be quite strong and knowing that if he wasn't able to get enough of a gap to Pecco run into the end of the hangar straight, it may have had seen Pecco come back at him. So I think he did it at the right place. He knew he'd pull a small gap, managed to hold on to the end of the race. And it was one where I thought we had some good performances throughout the field. And obviously sometimes races like that, you do see a lot of guys coming from deeper in the field and making up quite a lot of positions, because other guys, you get a lot of crashes and people making mistakes at the front. People took a chance on the bike swap as well. So that did see a couple of performances maybe look a little bit better than they could have been. But hey, you make the right decision. You stay out there. Good things come your way. Now, I guess the question is this proper pace for Aprilia or is this circumstance? The promising thing is, I guess, pace was there on Friday in a big way. 3 bikes finished near the front, and then a solid performance from Raul Fernandez as well, who has been struggling a little bit. So is that real? And I guess the sort of things you could take away from it are historically quite good at Silverstone, so maybe that's it. Changeable conditions, maybe that brought them into the race, although conditions they don't always excel in. So is it circumstance or is it true pace? I have a feeling it's probably more circumstance, but I would love it to be a big improvement for them. And then if we're looking more on the negatives here, if we're looking at, of course, every Grand Prix we're talking about this, but it's Yamaha and Honda still not with their shit together. I do feel like Yamaha, I mean, if you look at where they were at this one point in the race here, how did they go from this to nothing? They could have ended up with a semi-decent result there. I thought Frankie had a good Sunday. I'm not sure what happened. He dropped through the field. I didn't see it on the feed. And then obviously after that, he thought, well, nothing to lose, and went for the bike swap. Okay. And then Fabio running in the top 10, made a mistake, lost his fairing, and that was them done. But they were, I think, probably 8th and 10th at the time, I want to say, and they've ended up nowhere. So it probably isn't as bad as what it looked for them, but it's still not great, even if they did finish in those positions. Honda, just a nowhere weekend. And again, it does make me laugh sometimes with Mark. I mean, he's just going out there going, I'm just going to finish the race, and then runs into the back of someone. I didn't see the incident fully. The only footage I've seen of it is the only one I could find was his onboard, like looking at him. I don't know if they didn't catch it with any other cameras, but that's the only footage they seem to be showing, or that I can find. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but it really just looked like he ran into the back of him from that footage. So I just don't do that. One thing I did want to talk about is the new tyre pressure rule being implemented now from Silverstone. Did it have any effect? Maybe that's where Aprilia's pace has come from. Maybe with the tyre pressure rule coming in, that suits them, and maybe that's where the pace is coming from. I've heard conflicting reports on this. So during the feed, I watched the BT or TNT feed, the British feed here in the UK. On the commentary, it was mentioned that perhaps it wouldn't have an effect almost at all, is the vibe I got from what was said. I can't remember who it is on commentary. Gavin Emmett, maybe? That because of the cooler conditions, it won't actually have an effect. And then since post-race have, read here and there that it was having an effect. So if anybody knows if the tyre pressure rule is having any effect at all, please let me know in the comments. Was it having an effect or wasn't it having an effect? I can't seem to figure it out based on what I'm reading and hearing from the Grand Prix and post-Grand Prix. Pecco Bagnaia should have been demoted a position for the track limits breach. I mean, I hate track limits. I hate track limits as a thing. Just if it was grass, it wouldn't have mattered. If it was grass and he still stayed second, it's fine. If it was grass and he went wide and it cost him a position, then it deserved to cost him a position. I could go on. I just hate track limits. And then now it just seems that although with the naked eye, or I say the naked eye, through the television screen, it looks like you can see there. You can just draw a line there and be like, his tyre is over the thing, the same way Binder's was in Assen. So why wouldn't you demote him a position? Well, it turns out he's not triggered the sensor. So it seems to me that the actual offence is not that you exceed track limits. The offence is that you trigger the sensor. So, if you're just lucky enough that the sensor doesn't get tripped, you're fine. Like, it's just nonsense. It is nonsense. Just put it grass there. I can hate it. Now, a little off-track stuff. Silly season has kicked into gear now. The first domino has fallen. It's Aleix Rins to factory Yamaha as we expected. Here we go, confirmed.
Here we go.
Which, of course, leaves Frankie in a bit of a limbo here. Now, I suspect that he knows what he's doing. I feel like they probably already know what the movements are going to be now that one piece is in place. And they'll probably move, all the other pieces will start to fall into place. Now, it's probably fine details being worked out. I'm assuming this is a Ducati move for Frankie. I think it may have been, was it Chabati or someone high up at Ducati has already mentioned that they'd love to have Frankie on board. I feel like that just means that they are going to bring him in. They're just trying to figure out where to fit him and what to do with Zarco, I guess, is the one that they probably have to shift or move on completely. Which, while it would be harsh, you can see the reasoning there. And I do think there is probably some influence, whether maybe if they probably think Zarco is better for them than Morbidelli, I think a bit of Rossi influence or a VR46 Academy influence will be put in there. And because they are going to want to keep Frankie in MotoGP. And yeah, going to be really interesting to see where everybody falls in this Ducati hierarchy, basically. Because they will squeeze them all in there. It's just who ends up at which team, really. As we move on to Moto 2 now, I didn't fully get to catch this Grand Prix. I've picked up highlights and watched a bit of bits and pieces of the race where I can to try and give myself the picture, paint the picture in my mind of what happened. And from what I could tell, Fermin Aldeguer, real coming-of-age performance. Had to show a bit of determination to compete with Pedro, a bit of pace to sort of close the gap to Canet. With that sort of 7, 8, 9 laps to go period, and then pull in front of Canet and then pull away a little bit and leave Pedro and Aaron Canet scrapping behind him. Really nice ride, really nice. I thought the four-way battle, it was like the Roberts-Lowe's group, was fun, really good fun, that one towards the end. And of course now this means that with Tony Arbolino having an absolute stinker by his standards, Pedro goes into the championship lead now, and I think this could be it. This could be it. This could be where we see Pedro really kick on now. So I think that's probably what's going to happen. Got to talk about Jake Dixon. I don't know if this interview is on anything else or if you've seen it, but with TNT Sports did an interview with Hodgie as soon as he went down in that incident with Darren Binder. People are going to fall either side of this where it's like they shouldn't be interviewing him after the thing, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, they're a TV channel. They're going to try and get the interview, aren't they? He can just say no. Right? He could spend an extra 10 minutes, 15 minutes in his trailer or talking to his mechanics or whatever, calm down. He obviously wanted to go out there and say what he said. And by the way, there's no doubt in my mind he's actually probably at some point going to blame the whole, why are they interviewing me after the race thing, probably. And look, I try and always, especially with these guys, it's a high stakes environment they're competing in. Try and give them a bit of leeway when they make comments after races, soon after races, and that sort of stuff. And I have done in the past, given the benefit of the doubt, really. But in this instance, I mean, I don't know what it is about it. Not even just what he said, but the way he said it. It just was so whiny. I mean, I thought it was a little bit embarrassing to watch, to be honest. And look, I try and like Jake Dixon. I do, but he doesn't make it easy for you. And look, it could just be me. Let me know what you think about this, because there will always be that camp. And I do have a little bit of sympathy for the fact that it's very soon after the incident and he is emotional. But I'd almost rather see him just do a Schumacher in Spa like get a bit angry or whatever, but like just the whingy, like whininess of it. I don't know. It just has not rubbed me up the right way. I don't know why. It's felt a little bit petulant, really. It's very like, oh, you should get banned. It wasn't even that bad of an incident. I know it probably was a bit shit by Binder, and he did get up the inside of it, but it wasn't one of those super clear cut ones where it's like he's just gone steaming into someone. I mean, it's like Jake hasn't been guilty of something similar to this in the past. They've all done it. They're all professionals. That's the game they're playing. And to think that because it's happened to you at your home Grand Prix, when, by the way, you're in that position because you qualified poorly, it's like some sort of mega injustice that other guys don't get, or it's never happened to anyone but you. Like, it's just something that happens several times a weekend. So, yeah, look, I just thought it was a little bit embarrassing, really, to be honest. In Moto3, it started with a bit of drama with poor Scott Ogden. I did feel for him. It's one of those things that can happen sometimes, and for it to happen at your best ever qualifying for your home Grand Prix is especially harsh, and your heart goes out to him. But I thought he recovered well considering the circumstances. Almost found himself in the points. Aleix got himself tagging onto that huge lead group just about, and sort of fell away with Kelso towards the end there, but I thought he recovered pretty well. But of course, all is overshadowed by the brilliance of young David Alonso. And hey, it must be in the name or something, because he just showed a fair bit of grit and determination and fieriness that we're used to seeing from an Alonso. I think he made up 16 positions in the first lap or something like that. It was quite remarkable, and ended up coming from, where was he, started last or something, 28th, I don't know where it was, but he's won the race with a bit of panache as well. Yeah, given definite Acosta vibes there. Well, not completely the same, but you can see that talent is there. It's very raw and very, very exciting. Other notable performances, I thought Colin Veijer, the young Dutchman, impressed me a lot. Had a bit of a tank slapper on the second to last lap when he was really positioning himself to have a real crack at it. So a bit unlucky, but I was impressed by him. It was good to see him show a bit of that talent that we know he's got. And impressed again with Sasaki and Olgado. But I do feel like, once again, Sasaki is the one that when I look, and even though the points gap, it's come down now to 22 points I've got written down here. I do kind of have him as the real danger man in this championship. I feel like the momentum is with him, and his speed and consistency potentially going to be overwhelming for Olgado come towards the end. But Olgado does have that race win, a couple more left in him, I think, for the end of the season. He'll need to snatch those when he gets the chance. Otherwise, it could be Sasaki's year. And just losing touch a little bit is Jaume Masia, who looked like he was absolutely had the pace here to go on. And you never know in these big group finishes, you could end up anywhere, but he did look strong enough that he was at least going to find himself in the top 4 or 5. And his crash now leaves him a little bit out of touch. I won't say he's fully out of it yet, but he is out of touch a little bit, and it's looking very unlikely now that he'll be able to make up those points with how strong the other two guys are. And just quickly for everyone, it's really only applies to people in the UK here, where ITV dropped that coverage. I wasn't sure what it was for, but now I figured it out. It was for the Community Shield game, Arsenal City. Obviously, from a MotoGP centric position, you'll see comments like, "Can't believe they dropped it for a pointless football game," which essentially it's a glorified friendly. And I agree. I'd much rather see that be a World Championship round of MotoGP, of your home Grand Prix being, for ITV, the home Grand Prix being shown free to air, which I think every country, whether you're telecast, even if your rest of the season is pay TV, I think your home Grand Prix should always be shown live and free to air in that country. Always, doesn't matter where it is. But ITV, I think what's happened is they've opted to show the Community Shield, and while I think that is silly as well, I also am a football fan, and if you come at it from ITV's perspective, more people are probably going to watch City versus Arsenal game, even if it is just the Community Shield. Unfortunately, that's the nature of it. MotoGP it's on them, I think, because ITV can just show it if they want to, but I know they're probably going to get more money off TNT Sports to sell the rights to them, but if you want to think long term, they need to start doing deals where they force or tie these TV networks to show races as often as possible, free to air for people to watch, because people will watch it, and when the quality of the product is as good as it was at the weekend, they'll want to watch again. And that is how I feel about it. The British Grand Prix at Silverstone, the fallout, everything that happened, and my humble opinions on them. We will see you on the next one. I am away now for 3 weeks into Italy for a little family getaway. So my fallout for this, I'm probably not going to take all this kit with me and, film a post, what is it, Austria we're going to? A post-Austria thing. I'm probably not going to do that. I'm going to wait till I get back and try and get one out just before the Grand Prix after that, which may or may not be Catalonia. No, we've already been there. Yeah, Catalonia. So the Austria video will probably come out just before the Catalonia weekend. I will just keep up on the socials. Make sure you jump over on x.com and see what I've got to say or whatever. And yeah, see you on the next one.